It's Eve 2020, June 8th. I'm Matteral. I'm sure you guys can hear me now. Sorry about that. It's a consequence of moving back and forth between Windows and Mac. All right, we're just going to do this real quick. Tranquility past weekend got up to about 39,000 players. 38,691. That's an exact number. I'm not sure that's too accurate, but you also had a low of about nearly 20,000. It's 19,789. And the average was about 27K. We were looking at Serenity earlier, and that got up to 27,000? I don't know. It's really high, though, for them. All right, looking at most violent systems, the only thing that's unusual today is in the home staging system of Goon Swarm, which is in Cloud Ring. The system is 57C TAC HO. You can see there's over 1,000 ships destroyed. That was Horde and Goon Swarm mixing it up. That put the most violent region for nullsec. That put Cloud Ring at the top of that list with 1,268 ships destroyed, over 1,000 pods destroyed. Other than that, things look normal. You have Domain in first place for Empire regions with over 3,000. Lone Trek in second with 2,800. And the Forge, 2,200. Actually, Domain's not usually on the top of the list for Empire region. I think that has to do with invasion. We'll check that out in just a second.
It's a mix of Rarivos being one of the systems that got its security status reduced, and a few of the big suicide ganking choke points like Niarja being in Domain.
Yeah. There's also, but Veil is in Essence. That's right. There's Veil in Essence, and there's another one in Sync Liaison, I think Trocer. Those are invaded systems, so their numbers are going up. But okay, so the most violent systems in HiSec then are the Forge is back at the top of the list. Narja in second place. And then Ashab in Domain, 596. And then Veil in fourth place with 226. So the rest of these are kind of look like invaded systems where Capsuleers are fighting aliens, creating more kills. All right, let's dive into... We'll come back for the battle. Timer board. And these are for iHubs only. The reason we do iHubs only is because usually when you're contesting space, you need to take down the defenses of the systems that you are attacking, and therefore you take down the iHubs. So there's no owner for this iHub in Decline, in UJY. That's interesting, unless their name is none. Here in Cloud Ring, the iHub for Initiative. Now remember, that's where that big battle was in F7C TAC. Looks like in 3 hours that's going to be up for grabs. I wonder if that's going to be a big fight. Keep an eye on that one. Veil of the Silent Deepwater Hooligans have an iHub in trouble in VTAC. Oh, that's coming up in 11 hours, 12 hours. And then you see some more Usher Khan. We've seen them lately in the iHub news. Their system ARG TAC is Scalding Pass. It's under threat. And then 2 more in Decline. These are old ones, it looks like. So have Siberian Squad and then another None. So I wonder if that alliance imploded and that's why those don't have a name. All right, those are the iHubs. Going to the Killboards. Over 10 billion. Silent Company loses Tara for 11 billion, and that I think is just a hauler. So let's see what's in there. Yeah, it's just an industrial.
The most interesting thing that I see are 7 geckos and 500 Aurum tokens.
What?
Aurum tokens?
3 tokens, of the 500 Aurum token item.
I thought they were long removed from the game.
Yeah, so did I.
That is very weird. Yeah, this looks like, okay, so if they're ARM tokens and also geckos came out a long time ago. They've come and gone with value. They've been worth 80 million each up to 180 million each. And ARM tokens, I haven't seen those in a long time since, here it is, 500 ARM token.
They're a legacy item now and traded exclusively through contracts, and they're
Right.
discontinued. So to some collectors, they have value.
So ARM used to
They're
be...
not functional anymore.
Yeah. ARM used to be the currency that you used for the Eve store, basically to buy skins and stuff like that. Well, Aurum was switched into Plex. And at that point, if you had leftover Aurum, they became tokens. Because you could only turn in a certain integer of the whatever you had. You couldn't just turn all your Aurum over, I'm pretty sure. So that's interesting. So this is old stuff. This guy is at least a few years old. So that is some old stuff by this Silent Company guy. So he's probably not a new guy then. This is old stuff, it looks like.
Characters from 2011.
That makes sense. Maybe okay, 2011 makes sense. I wonder if when was his last corporation before Silent Company?
Crimson War Dogs in 2018, then played, looks like he was active 2013 up to 2015.
2015, that makes sense, yeah. So probably he's back. He's joining Silent Company to get his feet back before he figures out what he wants to do, something like that. Or maybe he wants to stay with Silent Company. But there's an old player coming back is what it looks like. And maybe because of all the commotion with the structures. Speaking of structures, let's move on to a Fortizar that was destroyed in J-Space belonging to Indefinite Mass. Looks like they're being evicted by Rainbow Knights.
That would be a Rainbow Knights would be an alliance associated with Hard Knock. So not the Hard Knocks, Laserhawks.
Yeah,
Laserhawks and Rainbow.
most of the people on the battle report are Laserhawks.
All right.
From what I know, Rainbow Knights is the alliance for Laserhawks, ratting and holes and crabbing holes.
Hmm. And J-Space, a freighter belonging to Odium gets destroyed. It's an obelisk. Quick look at that, because that came up to 15 billion, which is quite a bit. This ship alone is worth just about $1 billion, so it's got 14 billion in cargo. Oof, some good stuff here. I see.
Blue Fairy said yes.
Yeah. A lot of it. Yeah, you had a huge drop here. Total drop 12 billion. That's a lot of modules, basically. Great drop.
Looking on the kill board, I believe this is a result of what I can see to be an eviction by the corporation that killed it.
Yeah, that is a good payday for them.
Yeah, that looks like it was probably left over in some sort of citadel or something.
Yeah. Somebody stuffed it full of their stuff, their good stuff, and they got ejected when the structure exploded, maybe? I don't know. That belonged to Chrissy Cat. Chrissy Cat. Sorry about your losses there. And Citadels Go Pow Corporation, Dakota Yatura or something. Is that my front door? Haven't
It
heard that in
appears
ages.
Odium used to be part of Scary Wormhole People, and this Crazy Cat person hasn't played for, I'd say, at least 3 months or longer.
Oh,
Most
okay.
likely
Yeah.
in the 6-month mark.
That makes sense. Okay, Fortizar belonging to Goonswarm gets destroyed in Pureblind JE TAC by Northern Coalition fleet of 100 or more. It came up to 13 billion. And Dracaris loses a Nyx in period basis. That's where they were at. There's YTAC C. And the corporation that killed it was Low Sex Gate to Stain. So they want a low set gate to Stain. All right, Asbel belonging to Army of Mango gets hit in Mist. X-Tech E system. Fraternity takes that out. And then Goonswarm loses another Fortizar in Pureblind. That's 5ZXX. And this time, Pandemic Horde takes it out with a fleet of over 100. Legion of Hell's Angels. Haven't heard them since the 70s. Loses a Fortizar in the Forge in Otosella. I like that system, actually. That's up in the far northeast, I want to say. That's taken out by Darkside. I like Darkside. Haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, that Pandemic Horde had some sort of small-scale campaign to hit their structures in Geminate, but I guess they lost it. They lost interest in pursuing.
Yep, thanks for the bits, by the way. I haven't seen bits in a long time either. Yeah, so let's go on here. There's a couple Titans that were taken out. One belonging to Fraternity. We'll come back for the Heron, but the Fraternity, it's a Ragnarok getting wiped out in Venal, HD TAC, and that's wiped out by Darkside, and they get a second kill from somebody else here. A group called No Value loses an Eon to them in Venal as well, RQ9 TAC. Darkside's on the hunt.
Yeah, No Value is a Russian alliance associated with PanFam. They live right on the other side of the regional gate out of Venal.
Yeah, we're coming back to the Heron. I just want to talk about that last. Yeah, it looks like Fraternity was using that as a bridging Titan. I like that name, Fern Scored. That's a great name. That's who's the final shot on the Eon there that we just talked about. Okay, let's go back for the. Oh, there's a bunch of structures down here. A lot of them belonging to Goonswarm and Delve. Those are probably left over. Satio. And Asbel Satio. Wow, 2 Satios. Those are not small. How can those be forgotten? Okay, let's investigate. First, let's just work our way down there. We're going to come back for the Heron. Don't worry, we'll be back. Reitaru taken out. Reitarus usually aren't 10 billion or more, so it's odd that that one was exploded. It must have had some pretty nice rigs. That one belonged to Industry Support Conglomerate. Good name. In the Citadel, in Serpala. We're going to take some time to look at this one.
T2 rigs.
Yeah. On an Astra House. Does that make sense? I guess so. That tells me it was a small group and that was their home. And keeping a low profile but sticking some nice rigs into it. Something like that. Another Reitaru is retired. ARC Primus Industries. Also a good name. Taken out in the Forge in Hakoto. This came up to 16 billion. It doesn't have T2 rigs. So its corporate hangar had stuff, and that's probably where the value came from.
A lot of industry stuff in that hangar and some modules.
Yeah, this looks like a operation, but where's the actual value? Oh, that's funny. It had T2 rigs in the cargo. Maybe. Well, those are for ships, it looks like. Yeah, it just added up. Industry home. Let's see. Goon Swarm loses an Asbel and Delve for 14 billion. Oh, here's a huge kill. Yeah, the Satio, Goon Swarm Federation in PS TAC. I think these were, yes, killed by Goon Swarm, so they destroyed their own. And that is to get the value themselves rather than to give it away or to give somebody incentive to brag about killing something big. And they killed 2 of their own Satios, so. But this one was worth 93 billion. It's quite a prize. Yep. Low slots, T1 rigs on this. Yeah, the value is right here in these Templars. No, that's not it. Kind of tricky. I guess it's the rigs themselves because they're extra large or very expensive. 32 billion, 17 billion, that equals 50 billion. That's, am I reading that right? Yeah, it's 50 billion.
Satio rigs are not cheap.
Yeah, even if they're T1. Anyway, so that rig Satio went up. Both those belong to Goon Swarm and were killed by Goon Swarm. And we have another Marshal. Requiem Internal loses a Marshal in Ethereum Reach. That's kind of horde space. 89 Tech killed by Triumvirate. Good for them. Go get him, Try. Okay, time for Heron. Let's look at why a Heron would cost 22 billion. This belonged to Pirate Lords of War, specifically the character Shaggy Moems.
Someone was carrying a lot of blueprints.
Okay, so we've seen these before. This is just a frigate, and this is the 3rd frigate we've seen that's been carrying over 10 billion in blueprints. Probably loot, probably that was picked up from an exploding abandoned structure and got killed with the loot in pocket. Yikes, okay. There it is, 22 billion plus in blueprints, and this happened in Khanid in Yazara. Oh, let's check related kills on it. We're getting some advice from Grim here. Retrograde Orbit killed it. SMA, how are those related? SMA is Space Monkeys Alliance. I guess they're still around. Okay, if I'm looking for some, I'm not seeing it. Unless this was a mining fleet that got taken out. All right, after a quick look, I didn't see anything. So if you want to point something out, let me know. Those are kills. And do we have any announcements for CCP? Spod, wasn't there a sale or something?
This looks like a lot of stuff alluding to some kind of new. I don't know if you can call it a new player deal for people that younger than 100 days old, character-wise, I believe it is. There's like a little bonus. Which, as far as we can tell, it seems like there's a bonus for buying a 30 or a 90-day a mega pack, although it's not quite clear what it is. I would guess, considering it went into the Tranquility server today, if you've got a newer character, you might be able to see it. So keep an eye out for it, whatever it is. I'm curious to find out more about it.
Yeah. All right. Snafu prevented CCP TV this last weekend. They were supposed to have Permaband. It was going to be an acoustic set. It didn't happen. Technical difficulties. Yesterday, a couple of things. Talking in Stations had the Sully on when we talked about the breakdown of what actually happened when they destroyed a structure, he and his group, and ended up with 4 trillion in a loot drop. Biggest in history. Biggest payday in history, actually. We also talked about there was some other subjects. One of them was the ethics of this and what it was meant for. So we went back and forth on that. Good show. Check that out. We got the lowdown on what happened. We also did a special presentation yesterday with Who's a Fish, who talked about the EVE community and how great it was, and she was interviewing Ivy. So that was pretty good. And that actually is an experiment we're doing with YouTube. So it wasn't streamed on Twitch, so you wouldn't have seen it here. We streamed it straight to YouTube, which is something we've been considering, just going straight to YouTube and changing the format, making these short, sweet, pre-recorded. I don't know. We're always experimenting. You guys give us advice if you guys want to see anything or think something's good. We're always listening to you guys. All right, so there's still a couple more on June 10th, just a couple days away. CCP's Tech Extravaganza. So they'll talk about all the tech with 5 of CCP's most hardcore technology nerds. So if you're into technology, June 10th, 1900, CCP TV on Twitch. And then finally on Friday, June 12th, is that Friday? It is. I was told it was Friday by CCP. CSM 15 voting results. That voting has ended as of 4 or 5 hours ago. Thanks for voting if you voted. If you didn't vote, you had plenty of warning if you were listening to these shows. CSM 15 voting results. We'll find out who is on CSM. I look a little pale. Oh, that's it's my lighting. Trust me, I'm not pale. If I seem down energy, it's because I woke up and then like minutes later, I turned this thing on. And I've been staying up late watching, take a personal moment here, been watching The Black Death. It's a series of lectures by a professor. I think it's on Prime or something. And it was just so interesting. I think it's like 20 lectures and I'm on 8 or something, but it is so interesting. Some of the parallels for what we're going through ourselves right now, 700 years later, right? Like, not to get too far into it, but the Black Death, as it was known, wasn't a description of the disease. In fact, it wasn't maybe even one disease. It might have been 3 or 5. If you think about it, it was bubonic plague, it was pneumonic plague, which is air, and then it was also sepsis or something. I don't know, when your blood is poisoned.
Septicemic plague.
Yeah, so there's 3 plagues in one. Wiped out so many people. Like, it's incomprehensible how many people that wiped out, and fast. And one of the components of it was that trade routes really led to the spread of that thing, because boats could travel so much faster than people on foot and horses. So if it took you a month or 23 days to get there walking, it took you 7 by horse, it took you 1 by ship. So news of the disease that was coming was behind the actual wave of disease. which means places got hit before they knew what hit them. And it really, it took them out in some places, a matter of days. People would get infected and die within the day if it was pneumonic plague, which is super fast and super contagious. So terrible, terrible disease. And I'm not fascinated with disease. I really cringe at the whole topic. But I'm looking for parallels between what happened then and what happened now. And it was fascinating. Oh, but the point I was making was we have this new technology, right? This new internet. And the internet's relatively new. It's only 20 years old, 20, 30 years old. And you have, not internet, but the web part of it, which is the consumer part of it. The actual internet has been around since the 60s. Which, that means it's like 60 years old. But the actual useful part of it started in 93 or around then, at least for consumers. But that has created a linkage, and the linkage is hand in hand with globalization, which makes it very interesting because it seems like it's such a good thing, right? To become global and to be interconnected and to travel really within hours to Asia from the United States, and all that connectivity is great. And that's what Facebook founder, I forget his name, was saying, that isn't this great that we're all connected? This is fantastic. Is it though? Because everything that is good on one side can have a negative effect. And so when you have disease spreading, whether it's information disease, which actually we're suffering from, or physical disease because you have globalization and fast travel, the unity actually means that you're unified in health, but you're also unified in sickness. And so I thought that was an interesting parallel. Okay. That's all I got. Back to EVE Online. Let's take a quick look at Reddit. Why not?
Do we have a date for the COVID Project Discovery?
Oh, speaking of disease. Yeah. No, I thought, thank you, man. Good segue. A little late on it. So for those who don't know, we have a new Project Discovery coming. Now, Project Discovery is when science meets EVE Online. And let me see if I can get there. Yeah. Here it is, Project Discovery. So citizen science begins with you. Whenever you are in EVE Online, you are one click away from advancing real science in Project Discovery, a unique mini-game that is quick, easy, and rewarding gameplay. So what Project Discovery is, it's a coupling of actual scientific usage, or what should I say, research, done with the labor of players who play EVE Online. We've had 3. We're about to have our 3rd. The first one was identifying proteins in cells. So there's a mini game to do that. The second one was shadow planets. Is that what they're called? No.
Exoplanets.
Exoplanets, yeah. And exoplanets, from my understanding, are, well, anyway, they're hard to see, and they were also, that was the second Project Discovery. I won't get into it. It'll be hard for me to explain, and I don't know it that well. And now we're coming up on our 3rd one, which is very, very timely, and that is Project Discovery COVID-19 edition, where you'll be able to try to help them identify some patterns and possibly contribute to the COVID vaccination effort, or even understanding.
Yeah, so as far as I can tell, I say I'm no scientist and I only had a brief look at it, but it seems to be to do with understanding how your immune system responds to the illness. What they do with that beyond that, I'm not entirely sure, but it seems like legitimate, quite, shall we say, big brain science that I've got no chance of understanding, but it seems like it's a very good cause.
But they have pictures of...
It seems quite simple.
They have pictures of virus, and you outline the spikes on the virus, right?
No, it's more like I've only seen a single sample one. Like the full application isn't really available yet. There's no real samples, but it seems to show like a bunch of dots on a graph, if you can imagine, like thousands of dots on a graph that appear in like a splatter, and you have to sort of circle the particular patterns within this splattered graph. I'm probably not doing a very good explanation for it, but
Well, you're
you
saying
essentially have to find these markers.
We'll see. It's on the test server now, but it's pretty broken, right?
I think it's not broken. I think it needs a bit of polish, but there's no actual data, so you can't actually do anything apart from the tutorial. And the tutorial is literally, here's a blue blob, draw a circle around it, and then that's that. That's as much as you can do at the moment.
Yeah. Well, you were saying they look the little cells that they have. The pictures look like sandshot because they have spikes all over them.
Oh yeah, I figured that one out. What they're for? It's a bit of a trick. Like so when you draw a shape around something, it just pops up one of those little pictures of these Sancho inspired cells, I suppose you can call them. Yeah, just to show you that you found a thing and this is what it might look like.
Well, so Project Discovery, yeah, it's coming. It's going to be COVID. Try to help out with the science of that. Look for patterns. Now, why does EVE Online do this? It's not for gameplay necessarily. This is more of a really interesting social convergence of a lot of smart players in one place that are interested in science fiction and science actually coming into that place using mini games to try to solve problems that computers cannot solve. There are certain things that computers do much better than people, than humans, and that's that straightforward calculation. But there are also certain things that people do that computers are not very good at, and that is thinking laterally and creatively. Creative problem solving is not something computers are good at. So that's something that you guys can do. You guys are special for that, and that's what CCP tries to do when they merge in science to this giant server of smart people. Isn't that interesting? My wife's a teacher, and she said, a little more personal moment here, that the jobs that the kids are being trained for, or not the jobs, but the education that's being given has to account for jobs that don't exist yet. Because the kids in school right now, I'm talking elementary and junior high and high school, but mostly elementary and junior high, those jobs don't even exist yet. They're not even conceptualized yet. So their education can't be based on working them towards a thing. They have to learn analytical skills and good writing and good fundamentals. And so the way they teach math now is to problem solve, because that is the niche that humans will have in the future. All the stuff that is over the last 50 years was taught in school and in universities even are very regimented computational skills. Like if you go into I guess when I was in high school and you did physics, physics was very much straightforward calculations and all this other stuff. Now, computers can do all the stuff that we were training for better than we can. Even with artificial intelligence, they could do that stuff better than we can. So what they're trying to do now is curb education to be a lot more word problems and a lot more creative problem solving. And that, I think, is what Project Discovery does with EVE Online's creative problem solving. One more piece of news I think is pretty interesting. What was that system that you were saying that was Faction War?
Nisuwa.
I mean, how do you spell that?
Nisuwa. It was one of the ones that you mentioned on the most active low second kills.
Right, because that had Ship kills. Well, that's in the last 3 hours.
And that's because even though Galente militia had held it since 2011, I'm hearing it had been just taken by Caldari militia over the.
That's amazing. So here it is. No longer Galente. It's it's 2 jumps from Tama, which is the link to Citadel. So that had been in their hands for, what'd you say? Since 2011.
11, I'm hearing.
Wow. 9 years in Galente possession, now in Caldari. That's big news. Congratulations.
Yeah, and it was just within the past 2 months, Galente militia had control of all the systems in the war zone. So, and now I guess Caldari is gaining a lot of momentum, swinging the other.
Pardon me, I wasn't showing the right screen. I had 2 browsers open. Sorry about that. Here's the right screen, and it's Nisuwa. And I'm looking at it here in Black Rise. It's 3 jumps from Tama down here in the bottom left. That's a better look at it. This is funny because it's just like 3 jumps from Rakapas, 3 jumps from Tama. This is a well-traveled area, I'm sure.
It's also a high-sec gate.
I don't see a high-sec gate connected. Oh, yeah.
Oh. So Nisuwa is a big system to pass. And there's a Korean corp in the initiative, which I used to live out there before they were in the initiative, and I think a lot of them still live out there, and that's Guardians of Parallel World, and I think I saw that they were involved in the fighting for control over the system.
Yeah. Now, I don't see a high-sec gate here.
I thought there was. I might have been wrong.
But it's definitely on the path between Tama and Abun Essence. So it would probably be good staging, as IPEX says there, that it's good staging in the faction war because it has entrance into, within 2 jumps, Essence, which is Galenti area. Well, that's fascinating. So I wonder if faction war is being deflated a little bit as Galente groups like Ashtarothis move over to the new faction war, basically, which is between aliens and humans, or Capsuleers. All right, let's take a look at the faction war map. What's it called here? All right, I'll take a look at the actual map. 1 second.
One thing I'd like to know about is how much, if there's any sort of coordination between the blocks and faction warfare, because I've been hearing about the initiative working with the Galente militia, specifically the initiative corp that lives in that system that I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But also, F7C, which is the staging system for the Imperium's deployment, is the SOV is held by Galente militia, and I'd be interested in knowing what the extent of the coordination is, since for the Goon Swarm also has a habit of showing up when Galente militia has large timers recently. I'd like to know how much coordination there is.
You think Galente militia are blue or allied with Goonswarm and the Imperium?
I'm pretty sure that they at least have a non-invasion pact, and since the Sov where the Imperium is deployed is held by Golente militia right now, I'm pretty sure that there's some sort of coordination going on.
Hmm. Yeah, we should look into that. That would be an interesting story. They have in the past. Fed Up has cooperated with Goonswarm, but they weren't allied. They were subject to Imperium's whims, basically. In other words, they put a Keepstar in a system that was run by Fed Up, and Fed Up really couldn't say anything about it. But at the same time, there was a soft, yeah, we'll work with you guys if we have to, kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that not many people in militia can really say no, but there's probably some sort of coordination going on, which, well, think about it. On the other side, there's the Kaldari militia, and one of the alliances in there is Teplis Kalsif, where the main fleet commander is also the main fleet commander of Wrecking Crew, which coordinates with PanFam a bit.
Yes, that makes sense. Well, Wrecking Crew is in the south in Providence, but that's Rocket X's group, and he's former Pandemic Legion.
Yeah, and their current main fleet commander is the last Spartan, who's in Templis Kalsif, and he brought a Tengu fleet up for that big dread fight on Friday.
So it kind of looks like there might be tendencies of faction war groups to have connections to nullsec groups that are in conflict too.
Yeah, which the thing that is really weird to me is the Amar faction warfare people, because in addition to having ties with CVA, they also have ties to PL, which I'm not sure how that works, but apparently it works.
Well, we should probably ask them. This war zone looks smaller than this is Amar versus Minmatar war zone. It looks smaller than Galente versus Kaldari. Well, what's going to be interesting is what happens with faction war now that Triglavians are trying to invade all humanity. We'll see what happens. Different places for people to play, different game styles. All right, cool. We have with us Sully. Hello, Sully, and Dutch Gunner. Dutch, how's it going? How are you guys?
I'm good, thanks.
Did you enjoy yourself on yesterday's Talking in Stations show?
I did, yeah. It was very good. It's been a busy week, that's for sure.
Yeah. And Dutch, your run now for CSM is over. Do you feel a little bit of relief? Are you anxious?
I'm very curious to see how the end result is going to be from for all the candidates.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out on Friday.
Looking back, it's like for a first-time runner, I think I did okay, especially considering that some people who have been on CSM or were running for CSM did mention my name, like, hey, those as being one of the people that they would like to have on CSM. So I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I got some good news. Should we do like we should do predictions, shouldn't we? That would be like bingo. It'd be fun. All right.
Prediction bingo.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys, for showing up today. Appreciate it. Thank you, audience, for coming. Remember, check out Talking in Stations Sunday. We talked to Sully here and get the lowdown on what happened with that 4 trillion ISK loot drop that he got. And it was a lot of fun and very informative. So check that out, Talking in Stations. That'll be out on podcast today or tomorrow. Also, we had a special presentation. Who's a Fish was talking about the EVE community and why it's the best community. And she interviewed Ivy, And so they both talked about different things. So that was on YouTube. You can check out that video on our youtube.com/talkinginstations channel. Okay, so we'll go ahead and look for someone to stream. Yeah, make sure you follow here. And if you want to help support Talking In Stations, we really appreciate it. We're about to buy some new equipment, some better lights, maybe some better, less squeaky arms for the boom mic. And we've also picked up some green screens for people. And we're looking at now maybe buying a computer so we can actually stream the game without terrible lag, and maybe do some screen sharing without terrible lag too. All that costs money, and I'm not going to pay for it. But if you guys like this stuff, I'm willing to do the work. I'm just not willing to go into debt doing it. So anyway, you can help us out by going to Patreon/Matteral and donating there. Would appreciate it. It's kind of what keeps us going. I've got to be frank. Like if there's a lot of nice comments, and that's half the equation. The other half is that we have supporters that give us money every month. That's the other half. But the other thing you can do, if money is not a thing that you can offer, which is totally understandable these days, go ahead and give us an upvote, follow us, hit the subscribe on YouTube, do all the stuff that you can socially, retweet our stuff, and of course review us, and encourage other people. Every time you review something that we do, it opens the door for the next person to be able to find it. It surfaces our stuff a bit better the more likes it has and the more popular it is. So all that, if you like this stuff, that's how you keep it going. Thank you very much. And now we'll look for, I lost track of the oh yes, we definitely need new computer equipment. This is getting old. All right, well, we'll try to raid somebody.